necessarily the results you wanted, but kind of talk about the games themselves.
Yeah, I think UTA shot the ball really well. I knew that was coming. They hadn't shot it well all year, but I knew that they were a shooting team. I kept telling my guys, like, we cannot just assume. You can't look at the numbers. These guys can shoot the basketball, and they proved me right. They shot the ball really well, and that's to their credit. I was a little disappointed in our defensive rotations in that game. I thought we gave them too many good looks. We allowed them to get those shots. And then moving into the next game, I thought we did a much better job. SFA was going to do some of the same thing. They tried to attack us in some of our ball screen coverages, and we had cleaned some of that up. And so I was pleased with the improvement that we've made. We did not get the results we wanted. But here's what I said. I said it at the very beginning of the year. I said it this summer when we released our schedule, is that when I look at this schedule, man, I saw really good teams. I saw potential losing streaks. But I also thought we could win all of these games. And I think we've kind of shown that both sides. We've won some really big games for us. The games we have won are against probably the best teams on our schedule, but we've lost some games, and we're on a little bit of a losing stretch right here, and that's okay as long as we don't allow that to stop us from our ultimate goal, and that is continuing to get better. And with these two games, they were conference games. I did not treat them that way. It remains to be seen if that was a smart move or not. But my message for these guys has been trust the process, get better. We're not overthinking losses. I think a year ago we did. We lived and died on every loss in the non-conference. And so I didn't want to do that this year. And so I didn't hype up, hey, this is conference, this is WAC play. At the end of the day, it was games 7 and 8, And so I just kind of rolled with it, let's get better. And I told them yesterday, in film, man, we are getting better. I thought against Stephen F. Austin, it was the best defensive effort that we've had. You can look at the numbers. We turned them over almost 30 times, but I thought we created a lot of those, and we looked more like ACU basketball for the first time.
And talking about that conference play, I know Coach Goodenough kind of emphasized it's a little weird playing conference games in November and early December. What kind of message do you send? Okay, might be a conference game, but it's still super early.
Yeah, that's exactly what we've been doing. That was our message. That was my message yesterday. I told you guys I told them I didn't hype these games up for a reason. I can't trust the process, okay, hold on, man, we got to get going, and then let's trust the process again. I think we just got to continue to roll through. There's an 18-game window when we come back after the Christmas break that is going to really matter and determine who is going to go compete, for a conference tournament championship. And so that's what we got to focus on. Do I like the fact that we started 0-2? No. Are we going to accept that just because we're trying to get better? No. We're going to learn why did we lose. I think we're 1 point shy of winning the game on Saturday. But I think that I told the guys I don't think Saturday was really on them. I don't think I managed the game real well. I don't like saying that. I usually feel like I do. I do not think I did that Saturday. And so that's not on them. They played their tails off. They did everything we asked them to do. I think it was the best that they had attacked a game plan for the on the season so far. And then I don't think I managed it real well down the stretch. And so, but that's on me. And I got to get better too. That's what I told them. I got to learn too. It's not just on them. But here's the deal, man. Conference games or not, we're trusting the process. We're getting better. And I think that we're doing that. And we'll see. And nothing changes on Wednesday, when Northern Arizona comes into town.
And going back to that Stephen F. Austin game, can I talk about the mentality of getting, one of your first conference games, you go into overtime, it's a hard-fought battle, but you don't end up getting the result. Kind of talk about that mentality of, hey, that's okay, be proud of that result still.
Yeah, that's kind of what we're talking about. If we're trusting the process, that's what we're doing. We went over why we lost the game yesterday. In film, we've talked about it, but again, it was nothing. We talked about what could I have done better? What could they have done better? And don't overthink where we're at in conference right now. We're not the only team right there. We're only 2 games in. Our goal is to get better over the course of the year. Each game, each day, each practice. And I know that sounds like coach speak, man, but that has been my message from day one. And I can't all of a sudden change that just because we played a conference game in November. And it is weird doing it that early. I've played early conference games, but never in November. And early December, it's always been kind of late. But that's okay, man. I would much rather play a true round-robin schedule so we can get a true conference champion. And if that means that we have to play a game in November, then so be it. I'd rather do that.
And talking this week ahead, how nice is it to kind of be at home? I know you guys have played on the road a lot this season, at least early. How nice is it to kind of get 2 home games in a row, especially after that stretch?
Man, it feels great. It really does. To be at home, to sleep in our own beds, for the guys to be able to go to class and be on a regular schedule again is really good. This is a tough week for us. We're making up a bunch of stuff that the guys missed over the course of the last 3 weeks, but so we have to handle that. It's a different dynamic, but being able to be at home is huge, man. I think we've got to go win some of these games. I think we competed. I think the students had a great time on Saturday night or Saturday evening. I know they did. They all told me about it when we fed them. We fed them in the practice gym afterwards, and so I think we got to keep them coming back. But they're coming right now, and so we've got to reward them by finding a way to. We can talk about, man, we almost had it. But we've got to find a way to go ahead and get that game, whether it's a conference game or not. We've got to start taking care of business at home.
Coach, you mentioned earlier that was probably the best your team approached the game plan. What specific qualities did they do that you think they aced?
We got out in passing lanes. We played physical. We were the tougher team, in my opinion, for the majority of the game. And we have not done that all year. Even the games we've won, you know what I mean? And so, I told the guys before, the day before we played SFA, look, we stink. We're terrible. And so are they. And so is everybody we've played. So is everybody in the country right now. Dude, we're in November. We're early December. Nobody is any good. So who's going to win the game? The team that plays harder. And I think you look at our wins and you look at those opponents, and we probably played harder in those games we won. And you look at our losses, and we probably didn't. And so we've got to get to where we're the team that's playing harder every game. And I do think that we did that, even though we came up short. But again, my message to them was you did your part. I think I could have managed that game better. And if I would have done that, then they would have got the result they wanted. So that's kind of where I was going. I think we just played extremely hard. Our defensive game plan, we were in passing lanes. We forced turnovers, man. Forcing a team like that into 29 turnovers is not easy. But that's what we've been able to do throughout the course of our program in my time here. And so to see that finally come through was a good sign.
2 more questions for you, Coach. One specific player that played great defensively was Arion Simmons. I believe he was 1 steal shy of a record. How important is it to see that from a 5th-year senior for the rest of the team?
Man, he's our heart, right? When he brings the energy and he brings that fire, then the rest usually follow. And me and him have worked together a lot through the offseason because he was that way his entire career. And I think last year he took a step back from that. And trying to be something better and bigger, and let's just be who we are, right? And I think he's embraced that this year, and he was huge the other night. And most people don't know he was playing on one wheel. He's been playing through an injury. We have about 3 or 4 guys that are playing through some stuff right now, and you wouldn't have known it. You wouldn't have known it because he looked like he was 100%, and he is not. And so I was really pleased with him. I think that the guys kind of follow his energy, if that makes sense, and he was great.
And last question, what are some qualities from Northern Arizona that are highlighted on the scouting report?
Man, I think they can really shoot it. And if you look at their numbers, again, here we go, UTA all over again. You can say, okay, their numbers don't look great. Watch them on film, man. It's coming. And they show, we were playing Northern Arizona Wednesday, who is a really good basketball team. They just took Pacific and beat them. They just smacked them against the wall. I mean, they beat Pacific by 20 or 30 points. I don't even know what the final was. And that's because they shot the ball really well. They have a very good coach, man, that I've known for a long time. We both spent some time at Fort Scott Community College, not together, but he was shortly after me. And they are a very good team. We went to a knockdown, drag-out battle last year at their place, won in overtime. Very fortunate to win in overtime. They are very good. And, there's nobody on our schedule that's not good. And so we have to bring it every single day. I think Northern Arizona, we're going to have to guard the three-point line, but we're going to have to find a way to force some turnovers. We're going to have to find a way to be ACU, get back to who we were on Saturday. If we can do that, that's going to give us the best chance to win.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.